the Louisiana Hayride.
It would start off with a big roar, and Horace Logan would come out, and Frank Page, and the first thing they would ask is, anybody here from Texas? And of course a roar would go up in the auditorium, and it would start off with all of that, and then who's here from Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama?
Good evening, everybody. From the Municipal Auditorium, Shreveport, Louisiana, KWKH presents the Deep South's own folk music show, the Louisiana Hayride.
It was like magic when you walked in this building. The vibes for that Saturday night were so exciting. The Louisiana Hayride is actually known as the cradle of the stars, and it literally was the American Idol of its day. The Louisiana Hayride embraced young talent. All of the great stars that were here that became so famous all over the world from the Louisiana Hayride have never been equaled. It actually started April 3rd, 1948, and it was a live show broadcast in this wonderful building on this stage, and it was broadcast by KWKH. Horace Logan was the producer. Frank Page was the announcer, along with Norm and several others. And it just became a regular Saturday night radio show. This building, it's kind of hard to believe, but every Saturday night back in the 40s and 50s, this building was packed with people that would drive hundreds of miles to come to the Louisiana Hayride. The show was very loose.
You know, folks, I had a pleasant surprise tonight. An old friend of mine dropped in to visit with me, and I talked him into coming out here on the stage and singing a song for you folks. Now, he says furthermore that if you like his singing, he'll come back next Saturday night and sing just all the songs you want to hear. It's been a long time since he's been on the show. Come out here. Hank Williams, the Drifting Cowboy. Thank you, Horace. Thank you a lot.
The engineer, Bob Sullivan, he said the Louisiana Hayride wasn't produced, it just happened. This is a hallway in the great Municipal Auditorium with a lot of the portraits of the stars of the Louisiana Hayride. And of course, here is the man in black, Johnny Cash, who began here with his first record on Sun Records back in the early 50s. And here is his beautiful bride, June Carter. They both performed on the Louisiana Hayride many, many times. June is part of the great Carter family, whose mother Maybelle and her sisters, the Carter family, played here on the Hayride many times. And of course, here's little old Elvis. And of course, Elvis didn't have sideburns back then. He was a little teenager coming from Memphis, kind of sandy-headed and cute as he could be. And of course, stole all the hearts of the fans of the Louisiana Hayride and became famous from the Louisiana Hayride stage when he was still a teenager. And down here is, of course, the great Hank Williams. Hank Williams was actually the first really big star of the Louisiana Hayride. He was the greatest back then and is still the greatest. He left here after he became a big hit, went to the Grand Ole Opry. Unfortunately, he had a problem, he had a drinking problem, but he was in really poor health. And he was fired from the Grand Ole Opry and came back to Shreveport. And Horace Logan immediately said, Hank, you'll always be a member of the Louisiana Hayride. and we continue that. He will always be a member of the Louisiana Hayride. This is the back door entrance where the entertainers would come up the steps. This is actually where I made my first entrance into the Municipal Auditorium at the Hayride. And we all came in through this back door and would either go into one of these dressing rooms or go on stage. And there was always a crowd back here of singers, musicians, songwriters, everybody visiting before the show and all during the show, actually. And this is a larger dressing room, which back in its day was very fancy with its own shower and facilities. They put some photographs in here of Elvis, and however, this was not Elvis's dressing room when he first came here, because as you remember, he was not a star. He was a newcomer and a teenager, and he mixed and mingled with everybody and became good friends with a lot of the entertainers who were performers and singers on the Hayride, and he loved all the girls, of course.
He's only 19 years old. He has a new, distinctive style. Elvis Presley. Let's give him a nice hand.
Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right with you.
There were always just literally dozens of musicians, and it was very lively. And of course, the stage was all set, and the music was playing, and the person who was coming on would be waiting about right here. The engineer's booth was right over there. Bob Sullivan, who was the engineer on the Hayride, and the announcer's podium was over here. And so it was just a lot of mingling around back here. But I guess the most awesome thing that when you came out here, the roar of the crowd in this building was just enormous.
Okay, thank you. Nice to be back to the Hayride, Shreveport.
You can hear the music playing. It seems to never end in this building. And all of the great artists that performed here, it seems to me their presence is still in this building. The last regular Saturday night show was in 1960. And the people that owned KWKH just decided to close it. I guess, you know, there are many opinions on why Shreveport did not develop its music industry, and Nashville did. A lot of it had to do with leadership. The people in Nashville, they were very smart people, very kind and loving toward the music community. Shreveport, really, as far as I can understand, never embraced their music community. It was something that the leadership here did not understand as a value for economic development, for cultural development. It was something that was absent from the mindset of a lot of people here. And it still is. I mean, we've had a big battle fighting for the Louisiana Hayride. We actually created Shreveport's Historic Music District Plan to revitalize the neighborhood, to restore the old buildings, to create a music-grounded atmosphere here, but that will give Shreveport what it should have had a long time ago, a music presence.
All right, Elvis has left the building. I I've told you absolutely straight up to this point, you know that he has left the building. He left the stage and went out the back with the policeman, and he is now gone from the building.